Hi everyone, it's Robin. First thing I want to say is go grab yourself a cup of coffee, an iced tea, a pop, or whatever it is that you drink, because we're going to be just a couple of minutes. I have gotten a lot of requests, especially as of lately, of how my scrapbooking style has changed, and that was one of the tag questions I had come up with, like, when did you start scrapbooking, and what is your style of scrapbooking? I want you guys to know that I really, truly appreciate all your sweet, sweet comments on my pages, my layouts. You guys are the ones that inspire me, but I want you to know where I started from. And does anybody recognize this? This is my very first, well, you don't know this is my very first album, but this is Creative Memories. That's what I meant there, no more. But this is where I started scrapbooking. And when I came across this just the other day, I mean, it's been on my shelf, but I started looking through it, and I wanted to do one of two things. Well, first I wanted to cry because there's so many pictures of my babies from when they were little, but then I wanted to cry because I cut those pictures with those decorative scissors, and I just cringe that I did that. And I don't know if I have copies, or if I do, where are they? And because I would love to do these over, not tear them apart and do them over, but just take the same picture and redo them. But, well, that's a new series coming up too that Tuesdae and I are going to do. But I wanted to take you through my years of scrapbooking, so I'm just going to start, okay? But just know you don't have to be a fabulous scrapbooker in the beginning. I was so proud of these pages, like I showed everybody, and now I kind of like, oh, I'm showing you all because I love you, and I'm showing you all because you won't judge me, or I'm asking you not to judge me. Anyway, let's get going. So I decided to do an ABC album, and I thought it was just a really, really cute idea. So this page was A. So I just went around angels, apple, alphabet, and everything kid related I could think of A. And then I just started cutting my pictures up of things like we were at the amusement park, or airplane, or, you know, whatever. And then I would write something around or on each and every picture. I mean, let me hold up some of these so you can see. Do you see how I cut my pictures? I'm just, ugh. But that's what you did. I don't know. I would love to have some of these again to start over, you know, but I remember making this album, so I'm really glad that I'm not one where I would want to tear it apart and do it again, because part of scrapbooking is making the memories of not just the pictures, but creating them as well. So this is my B page, as you can see. So balloons, boo-boos, band-aids, buttons, books, and I just went around. I don't know. And then I think this was kind of my first try to die cut thing, and then everybody remembers these stickers. Who were these from? Were these Karen Foster, or who were these? See all these stickers and stuff? Oh, I spent so much money on stickers. Yeah. So these were my very first scrapbooking pages. I know I'm zoomed out as far as I can, I'm sorry. But this was my very first album. Oh, here I go. I made an ice cream cone with my kids. I thought I was so doggone creative. They were each a scoop. You see that? I was so proud of myself. I remember the feeling I had making these albums. Like, seriously. I loved it. Yeah. And then I went to the back, okay, because I went to the end of the alphabet, but I still had room. So, let me see. Okay, so here's a 2-page spread I did of Carlton Robert. We did all of their pictures when they were 4 days old, so that was his 4-day-old picture. I need to make a copy of this because I think I have enough room to fix that. I don't know. That was our family picture with him coming home from the hospital. Look at that hair, I know. But on the opposite side was his little dedication page. Look at my little boy. Look at Eric, he looks like a child himself. Okay, and then let me move these so I can push my albums in further so you guys can see better. Okay, then this one was Shelby Ray, and she was 4 days old there. Look at all that hair. But you see that this is how I decorated the edges. I thought I tried to do my own calligraphy. Yeah. So I started back in 1998 when my son was born. And see, some of these pictures I would just love to have and do again, but I don't know where they are exactly. But this was how I scrapbooked back in 1998 when I first started. So we're talking like 15, 16 years ago. And then this is Rachel Aaron, and this is what I did for her page, and this is her at 4 days old. My oldest. Look at, I thought that was pretty clever. Okay. I outlined, because I did sew and I quilt and things like that. When Rachel was on a dance team, I made all of her costumes. I rhinestoned them and everything, so I did a lot with stitching. But yeah, this was all of their baptisms, and I did this little prayer thing on a wavy ruler. I don't know what I did. So anyway, that's my very first scrapbooking page ever. Okay, now I'm just going to I have so many albums, I cannot show you all of them, but I'm just going to flip through some and, hold on. Okay, so this was a Close to My Heart album, so we're moving forward a few years. I really want to get new albums because these aren't very sturdy, as you can see. Okay, so this is when I kind of started doing titles by myself. I may have used a stencil for the heart and the leaves, but I also was toll painting about this time, and yeah. Okay, let me see. I did some stamping because I was doing Close to My Heart. So this was Rachel. Okay, so her first grade, yeah, first grade. All right, let me flip through to some other things I did. Okay, so I did a lot of stamping, as I said. This was a class I did in my home, showing them how to stamp their own backgrounds, and they loved it. They bought everything I did. And I'm looking at it going, really? Wow. For this tent, I even had some screen, and I added that to it, you know, and I started using pop dots and things. Pocket pages. I did a lot of pocket pages. I started downloading things from the computer to color. I did some journaling online, but then I ended up just wanting to write more of my own stuff. I don't mind my handwriting because I know I cherish my grandmother's handwriting and my mother's. Oh, okay. Then I started paper piecing. Who remembers paper piecing? And I did the title myself. I titled it Not So Fond of the Pond. Shelby was getting a swimming lesson from her daddy, and she was not digging it at all. Now she loves the water, but you know. And then I did some of this on the computer, and that's stamping. And here I did a grid design for the first time. My mom took a picture of Rachel and I reading together, so I love that. Okay. I did some of that. Is any of this looking familiar to you guys? Okay, so I told you Rachel was a competitive dancer for years until she just switched to classical ballet. I stamped this whole, this is before pattern paper really started coming around. I stamped this whole background. It was like a 4x4 block from Close to My Heart. I stamped it in black and I colored it in. I colored in every single one of these to match their robes that they wore over their costumes in between dances that I made. I made all the girls a robe, and because you can see they were in a white velour kitty cat outfit, and we had made these ears and rhinestoned them. I thought that was pretty cute. But anyway, so yeah. And then these, the alphas, what I had stencils, and I would trace them out, and then I'd cut them out with my X-Acto knife. Yes, 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 yes. That's more stamping and making my own backgrounds. And here I was sponging over my stamped area. And then more stamping, making my own background papers. I quit cutting my pictures, but I was still using the decorative scissors for the outline. Let me see what changed. Now my husband didn't really care for this hobby right now because it was so much money. Carlton was 2 years old, and my dad bought him this big bat and ball, and he cried. He was out there for 2 hours with my husband, and I had them come in for dinner, and he screamed and screamed, and baseball is still his love. But here's another pocket page. Until I made this picture. So my husband, or layout, my husband, you know, I was spending a lot of money. He didn't really like what I was doing until I made this NASCAR page. He went with a friend, first time he did anything like that, to watch a NASCAR race, the Coca-Cola 600 in Charlottesville, North Carolina, and I made this page. And he brought the kids back hats of their favorite drivers, and that was his ticket. And I found this paper. I'm like, that's perfect for racing page. Ever since then, he has loved me scrapbooking. And he would pull this out, like when his guy friends come over, look what Robin did, isn't that awesome? And then this is when I started cutting pattern paper up, when they did start making pattern paper. And I cut these flowers out, and I backed them on green cardstock and cut them out. So my parents, when they came to visit us in Virginia, we took them to Williamsburg. And I started buying these die cuts. Alright, so let's fast forward a little bit. Okay. Oh, that's a heavy one. Alright, let's see. So paper piecing, like I said, I'm starting to get into paper piecing. Okay, so again, I did this title myself, cutting it out with my X-Acto knife. I didn't mind it because I loved the way it looked, and that was a big thing then, because we didn't have Cricuts or Silhouette machines and things like that. But I had, I did buy my very first square punch, and it was harder than Hades to use. But I was doing a mosaic pattern. I thought that was very clever, fall themed. And I asked Carlton, this is why I'm glad you're my dad. And I said, Carlton, why are you glad he's your dad? And so I wrote down exactly what he said. I put it here. I said, because he takes me to my sports. I ride on his shoulders. He lets me play, but not when I'm sick. He gives me things I like. We play wrestling. And then I said, anything else? He said, nope, that's why I love him. So that's, I wrote all that down. Carlton was just 3. Isn't that cute? So see, I could take this, I could lift this off with my undo and copy it and put it back on here, but then remake the page with that picture, because I didn't cut into my picture with those crazy scissors. But I did a lot of layering and backing up. That was really big for me. I love the look. I still do that. I love it. Okay. Then I got into making my own paper piecing. Some patterns I couldn't find, so I did it myself. And here's an example. Took my kids while we were in upstate New York. My husband grew up on a dairy farm, and he would say during the summers, one of the biggest treats was after chores, his dad would surprise the boys and say, get in the truck, and they knew what that meant. They got to go to McDonald's, and then they went to Max's Ice Cream. It was outside of town, and so I wrote Tastes of Summer. Okay. Look at these ice cream. I told Rachel to get dirty, and that's all she did. She would just put a little dollop on her nose. But this is seriously how Carlton would eat ice cream. I mean, look, it's even on the bill of his hat. I don't know how that happened. He's just a hot mess. And then Shelby's chocolate face. And here we were just enjoying. Oh, my parents were up too. That's right. That's my mom, and then this is my mother-in-law. And then, so what I did was, I made my own paper piecing. I drew out scoops. I drew a cone, and then I put my hand like I would, and I kind of just drew what I saw. I drew on a piece of paper what I saw as I was holding something, and then I used chalk for shading. I was so proud of myself. I thought it was the coolest thing. Now I just want to I'm cracking up. But I was trying new things. I was developing new things. Then I started subscribing to scrapbooking magazines. And you know how they would have an alphabet of the month or whatever, and it would teach you how these designers made alphabets. I drew this next alphabet by myself. Okay, Rachel and I, her dance team went on a cruise. So this is her and I on the Fascination. But I saw these letters and I thought they were perfect. So this is cardstock. I learned how to highlight a little bit with pens. Okay, and then I cut each of these suckers out with my X-Acto knife. But I made these using the templates in the magazine. And then I used that template. And then I copied that. And then I just hand wrote my, but see, I outlined everything with, this was years ago. This was in 2002. Okay? So this was a 2-page layout because that's all I did at the time, really. So this was the other half. You remember these things you could layer up, you get from scrapbooking stores back when they had them. It's Rachel, and that was her best friend Hannah. And some of the moms, and I did the sun. It's 2-piece, and I popped it up. It's hard to see. And then I used a postcard. Okay, so let's see what's next. Then I started getting into buttons and stuff, and I bought one of these, oh, what are they called? I have it down here still. I still have it. Hold on, give me a second. Oh. Okay, this little thingamajig. Oh, the quick cuts. So see, these were all my alphabets, and you put one die in at a time, and you had the squeeze lever thing, and it would cut these out. So it took a little more time, but that was the new up-and-coming thing. So, and I still have it. I can't believe I still have it. That just takes too flippin' long. But I would, and then, because I liked to back things up, I would back it up on paper and then cut it out with my X-Acto knife or my scissors. So this was Eric. We went to the beach. He's not a beach person, but I said, really? Coffee, clothes, and the Blackberry to the beach, because he stayed dressed. And but I started using buttons and twine. That's why I pulled this one out. And then this was another 2-page layout of Rachel and Hannah years later. We were getting ready to move, and I wanted to get a last photo shoot with these two. This was kind of funny. They tried on each other's hair. Hannah was blonde and Rachel's a brunette. I thought that was hilarious. They were in like 6th grade. They just started middle school. And this was my first attempt at the block titling, and I thought that was really cool. And here I'm still stamping. This was close to my heart paper, so this was when I was but this is when they started doing paper kits. So this was their coordinating paper kits. And I was making tags and my little journaling. See, I didn't finish this page, but that was that. And then here's another 2-page. This was the very first scrapbooking weekend my mother-in-law and cousin went on. It was just the 3 of us, and this is not the one we go to in Ocean City, but this one was Rocky Gap Lodge and Golf Course in Cumberland, Maryland. So this is what I did, because again, I was still doing close to my heart. We had these file folders. So here it says lift me. So I put the file folder down into my scrapbook page. This was the top. As you can see, I had the brochure from the place. You open it up. So there we have, I was thinking this was when we would have a lot of pictures. I would do something like this. I started decorating with circles. And I was stamping them. And I was layering. Okay, so then it closes back up. Okay, and then this was the coordinating page. Again, I was using a paper kit that went together. And then this was a rub-on. I started with some rub-ons. And this one was in the fall. And then we started getting these decorative pieces of paper. Remember when these started coming out? And I was like, perfect, because my father-in-law is a farmer, obviously, and my husband and 2 of his 3 brothers. And I made this a page because we were at the fair and all the kids drove tractors. We were a line of red International tractors, but farm all men. And then I started highlighting with Smooch. I got introduced to Smooch, and I was highlighting my letters. I thought that was pretty clever. Okay, here's some more. Oh, I started cutting up paper piecing, and again I was using Smooch to decorate and make my words a little glittery, but here it says he texts me not. And this is Shelby. She would kill me if she knew I was putting this on there. She was like 7th grade, and she just graduated this year, so this is quite a few years ago. I mean, look at the phone, that'll tell you. And so yeah, I thought that was kind of cute. Like she was picking petals off of, you know, he loves me not, he loves me, whatever. All right. And then this was a challenge at the crop. They gave us a sketch, and this is what I did, and I titled it Got Goggles. But this was really hard. I had a circle cutter thing, but it's oh, who made it? I still have it. I think close to my heart. I think it was my close to my heart. Yep. Okay, so these were my circles things, and then you used your knife. It was where the head of it twirls. I still have it somewhere, but that's what I used to make these. And my smaller circles, I might have had a circle punch, but I was using little glitter pens, and yeah, this was an 09. Okay. Then I loved bling, so this was a clear bling, but I wanted to pull in some of the green. Rachel was 15 here, and here we are with buttons again. So again, I'm using, these were stickles. That's what these were. These were stickles. I got introduced to stickles too, so I bought a whole bunch of stickles, and then I used my green Sharpie, and I colored all of these rhinestones green. So I thought I was pretty clever with that too. That page still isn't bad, but this is pattern paper. I'm like, how am I going to use this? And then I saw the top she was wearing, and I was like, perfect. But there's Rachel. She was 15. That was her first day as a sophomore? Freshman. Sophomore, I guess. And again, buttons, colorful buttons. And I would often do journaling strips like this and just write on those. Okay. Hey, my flower bed doesn't look half bad. I don't have time to keep up with that anymore. Okay, and then this was another close to my heart thing. This was the very first time I stamped on a picture, and it says captured moment. So this is when they started coming out with like, not necessarily stickers. These were things I stamped and cut out, but I just kind of, you could not get that boy out of the water. He's still that way. So he was 11 here, and he's 16 now. And this was also, I was again really into these rhinestone titles, and I did my circle punch. I put some rhinestones there, and I had these guitar picks I thought were really cool, and I used my flower punch, which is this one. I still have it. Who makes it? EK Success, I think, maybe. I think I still see it around. And then I tore my edges and I inked them. I don't know if I saw that anywhere. I just did it. I just started tearing that. This was the beginning of my tearing phase, and I tore a little too much, so I just backed some brown on it, and then I inked the edges, and then I just used pattern papers, and I thought that was pretty cool because I was very much into flowers and Prima. Coming up, you'll see. This was my first, when I first started layering. I had to go big because I just couldn't do it small. I took, this was a plain piece of pink cardstock, and I took my ink pad and I just brushed it over top. I just took the whole thing and brushed it over top, and of course my buttons. But this was my 39th birthday, so this was 2009. And I made that little thing. I thought that was pretty cool. And this was this from my Cricut? This may have been from my Cricut. That broke. That I still don't have. So since then I just haven't, it broke like 2 years ago. So that was it. Oh, and this was my first time really using a black and white, and then again with the rub-on. Okay. I cracked myself up. We were in my daughter Rachel's room, and Monet came in, and she loves to sniff mascara. And then she started sniffing my hair because I just had my hair cut, and she loved the hairspray. So Rachel, I said, take a picture. And I just started acting funny like Monet was telling me a secret. And then I used the word, or the title, Say What? And I used again my stickles. Gotta love my stickles. And then I made my own little arrow. And then here's the bling again because that was the thing to do. Another rub-on. And I used a half a circle. And I chipboard. Yeah, started in with chipboard brackets. And I used these colorful letter stickers and some more rub-on paw prints. And then, of course, more buttons, but this time I stickled the buttons too. Outlined the circle and buttons, and this one was 2009 as well. But this was when I started cutting different shapes up and just started, I don't know, I'm a dork, I'm a goofball, I'm always like that. Okay. They used to sell pattern paper like this, right? And the shapes, like I told you with the Farmall picture. But I'm like, I can make my own. So I just started making like little, I think this might have been a ruler my mother-in-law had. So I drew it, and then I had to make my own corners up, and then I lined the ruler up again, and it took me a while. But I used twine. I braided some twine, and I used the Cricut, and I added stickle. I tried to make it look like bling, like enamel dots or glitterly rhinestones. And I just put 3 dots down on each letter. And then I used my smooch on this cut out, and I used, was this a Cricut pattern or a stencil? I can't remember. And this was when they were driving tractors in that parade. I showed you earlier the picture of that. And this is when I started, I was pulling colors from the picture, so I added a little turquoise with maroon. Never before would I have done that. And then I used this, I decided to do like a little barbed wire. I just freehand drew that, and then that's a stamp. And to pull in more teal, I added clear bling, but I used a marker to color it. So, I mean, that one's still not too bad. I mean, you know, but this was again 09. Okay, here's my Prima flower stage. I started, I found this winter paper that I really, really loved. I started buying papers like this. I wasn't doing Close to My Heart anymore. And again, we have the Cricut title, but Shelby and her best friend at the time went out in the woods, and my daughter Rachel needed photography pictures because she was taking photo class. So she needed some pictures. So they were her models out in the snow in these dresses, but I think the pictures turned out super cute. And of course it was a 2-page layout. So this was page 1. I added some pearls and some of the snowflakes. All right, so that's page 1. Bring in page 2. And I'll bring it up so you can see some of these. But this is when I had some matching brads. And I just did some light layering because I think this paper was very decorative as it was. And there's my goofball child. Now you know where she gets it from. And then some more flowers. And I think I inked some of these edges to bring in some of the purple. Yeah, so that's a 2-page layout. This wasn't so long ago. Oh no. Oh, 2012. Okay, so we're moving up. Got these wooden letters or super hard chipboard at a crop. Here's some more of my flowers. This one's titled My Mini Me, and then I used glitter. I used some kind of glue. I think it was my glue pen, and I sprinkled some Martha Stewart glitter or something over top, and I let them dry. So I thought that was pretty clever. And this is just Shelby and I acting goofy. It was my birthday dinner. Okay. Oh, and I used this liquid glass from Close to My Heart, and I just went over each of these to make them glossy and just to give them some dimension. All right, and then here again, I was getting introduced to these hard chipboard titles, and I painted it blue with the dauber, and then I used another dauber to give it a sponged over look. So I did it with dark blue, and then I went over it with a light blue. And then this was a Close to My Heart paper pack I bought, and I cut these out and did stitch lines around them so they would pop off the page. And I made this in, even though it was 98, I made it in 2012 at a crop. Oh, and I did little dashes for the airplane to see where he flew onto the page. Okay, Halloween. We make our own Halloween costumes. So Carlton, actually, I went to the BX and I bought him this little, because his dad was deployed this year. And so I sewed, just for the day, I sewed on a thing of Daddy's, his name tape and his rank. And then Shelby wanted to be strawberry shortcake, so we went to the thrift store and found a rainbow sweater. And then we found a hat, and I stamped the strawberries onto her hat. And then I wrote strawberry shortcake so people know who she was, and we decorated her cheeks up with lots of makeup. And then Rachel wanted to be a 50s girl, so this was her top. We bought a scarf at the thrift store. She wore one of my old belts, and then I made her this poodle skirt out of felt. But anyway, this was my first time using some of these three-dimensional stickers with the googly eyes, and I don't know, it's okay. But this was another phase I went into for a little while because I like the dimension of it all. Here's when I was, it's a picture of my parents. I would love to make this page again. I will probably definitely make a copy and do something different now, but this was at another crop, and I was using my stickles, and I wanted to try and decorate some of this. It came printed paper, but I just kind of wanted to do, this was my parents when they were dating. That's my mom and my dad. And then her little sister Michelle, my Aunt Michelle. They are 15 years apart. And then again, I just cut out these on my Cricut and I decorated them up with my stencils. And then I had some cherry embellishments, and this is ribbon. Again, just some more rhinestones. Then I started buying, this was my first themed paper pad. It was the MVP paper pad I got at Michael's. And Carlton's baseball team won the Junior League Championships. So this was a 2-page layout, and I just kind of used things that were just out of the paper pad. And it made it really kind of easy. Carlton, little neighbor boy that loved him. So this was 2000. I made it in 2012, but it says 2011. See, this was the back side of it that you could cut up. And that's him hitting more of the team, and then I cut out a number 1. So I just added my own like cardstock to back up the pictures. This was Rachel's junior prom, so this was 2011. I did this at a crop. I used I had just bought these. Oh, that's the wrong one, but I was just introduced to these little smooch spritz, and I took my Prima flowers that were cream, and I splattered, I used the gold on them, and then I inked the edges with some black, and then all of these titles were those chipboard things, and I outlined, someone had a piece of paper, so I borrowed it to make an outline of the circle, and I cut it in half, and then I just kind of did my own thing. But I was very excited. But that was Rachel and her boyfriend of 2 years. They're just friends now, but that's that side. And then this was when he first saw her, and look at Carlton, he's taller than she is now. That's her little brother. This was her boyfriend, and that was the dress. And I started using like little decorative paper clips. These were their tickets. Got a picture of their hands. And then they had, because it was an Asian theme, they had fortune cookies, and these were, Rachel knew to save these for me. She said, "Here, Mom, I saved these from our fortune cookies. You could put them in the scrapbook." And then Shelby had curled Rachel's hair, and then I had pinned it up. So we had done her hair for her. She didn't go anywhere to do that. So that was another 2-page layout. This was my Grammy that passed away a few years ago. I used some just neat things, some folded ribbon, and then this little brooch thing. I threaded it through because it was like a buckle. And then again, my Prima flowers, and I poked a hole through, and I put a brad through, and then I decorated the tops with smooch, and I stamped on here again. And she was outside somewhere. I don't know. It was 1938. I would like to redo this one as well. I mean, keep this one like it is, but take the picture and redo it. And then now we're up to more my modern things that you have seen. This one is coming up in a video soon. You saw this with watercolor pencils and a water brush and sewing on my layouts. I mean, these are all ones you've seen because I had process videos, but I had skipped a few years in between. But see, I still doodle around the edges. I still love the glitz and the spritz, but in new, updated ways. So I hope you had fun going through time with me. Like I said, I have at least 20 different scrapbooks, and there's no way I could show you everything. I was just trying to pull out, you know, little bits at a time. So, you know, here's one of my newest ones, and then here's from the very beginning one. Hold on. So you can kind of see how my styles have changed. But I hope that this inspires you to know that, you know, you're going to develop, you're going to learn, you're going to try new things, and your style will just change. Your taste will change. Paper and embellishment loves will change. So if you love something and you're buying it right now, use it. I hoarded things for years because I loved it so much. not realizing new things would come out and my taste would change. So I have a lot of older things that I donate and get rid of because I'm just not going to use them now, and which is really sad because that's a lot of money. But anyway, thank you for joining me. I would love to see your, hey, join in this. Show us some of your very beginnings and through the years kind of thing. So thank you for joining me. I'll talk to you later. Bye.